Cancelled.
Schweezy.
Okay, and so other than that, this week, I want to talk about some things I've been watching. One is Joe versus Carole over on Peacock. I'm making an educated guess here right now that none of you knew this series existed or was out. Speaking about Joe Exotic and Carole Baskin, their long-going feud. So I'm guessing it was on Peacock. Came out on Peacock. Guarantee none of you listening to this have Peacock. I have Peacock with ads because it came free with my phone plan. And that's why I have Peacock. You know, Tiger King, beginning of this pandemic, very popular stuff. But I don't even know if talking about it is really helping this show or channel at all. But I'm going to talk about it anyways because I watched it and was interested in kind of everything that was really going on. I don't think they did like a lot of marketing for this show either. It was just a very weird, like, it was just there. Like, I was watching like Frasier, I guess, on Peacock, and then I just saw like an ad for this only on Peacock. I was like, oh, I need to check that out. And therefore I did. That's how things like that work.
What?
Yeah. So, and they had a lot of good actors in it. Like, just for example, just looking here, I just like wrote down a couple. Kate McKinnon plays Carole Baskin, and I don't know if she played Carole in like an SNL skit or not, but she played Carole really well. Except you were kind of like, are we going into an SNL skit? Just because I've like, the majority of anyone has seen her on is like an SNL skit. Dean Winters as Jeff Lowe. He's always playing like some weird, intimidating character in TV shows, and now he's playing Jeff Lowe, which with the makeup department made him look perfect. I was thinking like he's probably a little too skinny to play Jeff Lowe, and maybe he put on the pounds for it. I don't know. Kyle MacLachlan played Howard Baskin, and I'm like, he's too cool to play Howard Baskin, but he pulled it off over. You're watching, I'm like, he's cooler than Howard Baskin. And the last one that really surprised me, Nat Wolff played Travis Maldonado. Now, I know he's done a lot of things, but I know him from the Naked Brothers Band on Nickelodeon. I'll never forget that he did that, and I will remember that for the rest of my life. He can't run away from that, Nat Wolff. You will never run away from the Naked Brothers Band, not as I'm alive. So yeah. So basically, the show is like if you watch the documentary, you know everything that happens in this show. It's like nothing is going to be new to you. I mean, they at least told a version of the story that you are familiar with from the docuseries over on Netflix. Now this is on Peacock. So yeah, it's basically formatted as the rivalry between Joe Exotic and Carole Baskin, and it kind of just starts where they started. Like the first episode starts with like some animal rights protester says, "I'm with Big Cat Rescue," and then everything like that starts from there, and it's where Joe learns about Carole Baskin and starts talking about her and did the Big Cat Entertainment website, and so the lawsuit starts and everything like that. So yeah, so one of the biggest takeaways I get from the show is the fact that I have to say that it looks like a parody, like you're watching a TV show, like a fake TV show, and they're like, yeah, and they even made a TV series about their actions. And this is like the show you think would exist in a made-up movie to retell like the actions of what happened, if that makes any sense what I'm trying to tell you. It's like a biopic TV series inside of an already fictional movie. That's what this all feels like. It feels like fake and goofy, but they're trying to be serious, but it's all goofy all at the same time. And yeah, it all really kind of comes down to a joke. Like I already mentioned, Kate McKinnon playing Carole Baskin. It all like, you just expect her to go into like a character like she'd play on SNL. I mean, she played the part great. And like, they talk more about the romance between Howard and Carole. And I have to say, like lesbian women, like playing like in like a character as like a boring straight couple, they play like those boring women perfectly. I don't know what it is in the DNA, but it's always that like Fortune Femster does it. She's like, oh, Tim, quit tickling my leg. If you've ever seen anything she posts on Instagram, which is really good. And yeah, so yeah, this all seemed like a joke movie or TV show inside of a TV show or something like that. It's kind of funny. You know, like how in Seinfeld, they created a show called Jerry. They're trying to pitch a TV show called Jerry inside a show already called Seinfeld. And, you know, it's just kind of similar to that. Joe Exotic was played by John Cameron Mitchell, and I've never heard of him, but he's done some big things that I did not write down for it. Yeah, I thought I heard Nicolas Cage was going to play Joe Exotic, but I don't know where that went. Yeah, it's kind of similar to the like way he played Joe Exotic. It's similar to the documentary series. Like you know Joe's a bad person in the original series, and like you know Carole is supposed to be the good guy, but Carole is a horrible human being as well as Joe Exotic. So you root for Joe just because I don't know, he has more charisma than Carole. Because Carole Baskin, like if you don't know, she really is a shitty person. Like people who've known her, people who've dated her. And people know her. Like she doesn't pay her employees. She barely knows their names. Like people she works with closely, and she's just a cold, bad person. So like they made the series similar to that, where you want to root for Joe, because he's also like the little guy, and because Joe, even though he didn't pay them much, he still tried to pay his employees and treat them well. Like, you know, we're a family here. You know, you're probably an ex-con or whatever, can't get work, and I'll tell your parole officer wherever the hell you need me to tell them. Yeah.
This is the type of guy you get.
And then Carole's just like, I'm not paying you. You're lucky if I even get to know your name. And they even kind of went over both Carole and Joe's backstories. Like Carole was in 2 bad relationships before she met Howard Baskin, and you know she liked Howard because he was kind of boring, but he was nice to her and shit like that. You know, they made their romance a lot better. And then they had this weird thing. You know, Carole had these like nightmares about alligators, like she had to face off against, which I think was supposed to be something in regards to how she fed Dawn's body to alligators. You know, stuff like that. So yeah, but no, I do think that Kate McKinnon playing Carole Baskin was a perfect choice. I mean, she's very good at playing characters. Obviously, she's from SNL, even be on that show, and she's obviously even a standout human being on SNL as well. And I know we'll all remember her from like, oh yeah, she was on SNL. She was great when she was on SNL, and then she's done other stuff too, and we're like, yeah, she's great. But yeah, no, like I said, like if you've researched Carole at all and met with other people who know Carole Baskin and know her at all, they all describe her as a very unpleasant, terrible person. But like she does have like a passion for rescuing big cats and saving big cats, and they do show that well within this documentary. But at the same time, like you don't want Carole to win, and then they like make it out to her at the end like you should feel sorry for her. It's like everyone hates me. Doc Antle, Joe Exotic, Jeff Lowe, they're all out to get me, and they all hate me. And I'm like, I mean, they wouldn't hate you because like most of them, at least to some extent, really do care for animals and want to like take care of animals. Like I think Lauren Lowe, that's Jeff Lowe's wife, that she just turned 30, so I don't know, they might not be together much longer. Just saying. But like she was mentioning like with the dead tigers, you know, they show in the thing that Lauren was like, yeah, they were perfectly healthy and really good, you know. I mean, like at some persistent level, they do care for these animals, but they may not be doing some of the best things with that. So, I mean, and I think the reason why people hate Carole and everyone's against Carole is because she is an unpleasant person. And literally, you know she is a bad person. They show that to her, like when someone was having a hard time, she owns property, and someone was had a hard time paying like their rent or whatever. And Carole's like, well, you have 15 days or I'm going to kick you out. And like, Carole, can you be reasonable? And stuff like that. Like, she is an unpleasant bad person. And they focus a little bit on that in the show, but like not enough. Like, really, because in my mind, if you're going to make this in the end of whatever you're making, you have to admit Carole's a bad person and Joe is a bad person. It's 2 bad people going against each other. That's how I'd make it. But they kind of make it in the end that Carole won and Carole's the hero of it all. I mean, like, Joe just did a dumb thing and did a really dumb thing, stuff like that. Like, try to hire someone to kill Carole, and it didn't work. And other characters that don't really have much to do, I thought Nat Wolff of the Naked Brothers band really did Travis's death really well. I think they kind of did some voiceover stuff, like about how Travis like came to Oklahoma and like you meet someone who really saved your life, and then and his death was like 100% had to be an accident. It's like, don't worry, won't go off unless it's loaded, and then he accidentally shoots himself, and like it's really sad. They made Jeff Lowe and Howard Baskin cooler. I've already mentioned that. They made them way cooler than they actually are, which is like really funny. I think that's just the power of good like actors who are cool, and it's like, they can understand a character and like try and do them justice and like do them good. But like if you're cooler than the artist or the person you're playing, it's hard to come across as that. I mean, that was like my biggest complaint with Jessica Chastain playing Tammy Faye. Like, Jessica Chastain is a goddess which I have already said on record, but we'll say it again. If she was selling her used underwear, I would buy it. I think that's the only person I'd really buy it from. I mean, like, I'd have to imagine, like, even her smelly parts have to smell good, right? That's besides the point. But if you're a redhead, hit me up. DMs are open. They also made Alan Glover, the bald guy who was hired to kill Carole. They made him way more tough and intimidating than he actually is. Like, you watch the documentary, I'm like, yeah, this guy's probably killed someone, but like, he kind of seems like a softie in real life, though. Like, he's really a soft guy. He has Hagrid abilities. Like, like that's why he never really went through with actually trying to kill Carole. And he's like, I don't really want to do this, like shit like that. Even then, he's like, oh, I can't be seen with a gun. I'm on parole. And it's like, you're going to kill someone. I don't, it's like, you're going to kill someone. Are you worried about like breaking your parole at this point or whatever? And also I think the last person I want to talk about, Saf, who formerly was Kelsey, who he lost his arm with a tiger. I think Saf was formerly Kelsey. So if you remember from the original documentary, Saf lost his arm to a tiger. And they like Carole tried to make it off as like, yeah, they don't know what they're doing because that happened. I'm like, that could happen at a normal zoo too. Like, you could lose your arm at a normal zoo to a tiger. You just something, that's an accident that happens. And like Saf was very well trained to do it, but they made Saf a he throughout the entire thing, which I don't know when Saf transitioned or came out or decided to be like, I'm going as he, him or whatever. But, they just were like he, him the entire thing. I'm like, oh, okay. So that was really cool, really respectable. But besides that, though, if you're bored, watch this and you have the Peacock account, don't sign up for Peacock to watch this. I mean, it's not that good. But if you really, really, really like Tiger King and you're still somewhat interested in it, you could enjoy it. Hey, you just finished one of the many, many highlights from Cancel Schweezy. We got plenty more on the channel, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you like what you just watched, go ahead and smash that like button as well. Go subscribe for more so we can teach you how to be a better human in our world. So, yeah, stay awesome.